I have a topic tonight that I want to touch on, and it's with regards to this ADAP crisis that is occurring. As many of you may or may not know, right now in the United States there are 6,000 people on a waiting list throughout 10 states waiting to get life-saving medications to treat their HIV. Right now, today, somebody was turned away and told that they have to wait to get their medicine. This is not right. We are at this point right now with this crisis. It is probably one of the biggest crises we have faced since the AIDS epidemic began in the 80s. Over the past couple months, 2 to 3 months, I've been seeing my friends' Facebook status updates. I've been reading blog posts, watching news clips, and talking to friends about this crisis. Last night I was on a call with Pause I Am Radio. They were doing an open call talking about the summit that was held last week in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to bring attention to this crisis. And they did. The press came, it got news, and a Band-Aid was placed over the current situation. But still, today, there are 6,000 people waiting to get life-saving medications across 10 states, with 3,500 of those people living in Florida. So, here's what I'm doing. Today, I am rising up, and I am speaking up, and I am standing out about this issue, because it's touched off in me a fervor that has not allowed me to rest. So, here's my blog post, and I hope you'll all get behind me. First of all, I want to talk to you about Ryan White. Many of you know who he was and the legacy that he, the legacy that has come from him. But for those of you who don't, Ryan White, he was born on December 6th, 1971. He was an American teenager from Kokomo, Indiana, who became the national poster child for HIV/AIDS in the United States. He was expelled from middle school because of his infection. A hemophiliac, he became infected with HIV from a contaminated blood treatment, and when diagnosed in December 1984, he was given just 6 months to live. Doctors said he posed no risk to other students. But AIDS was poorly understood at the time, and when White tried to return to school, many parents and teachers in Kokomo, Indiana, rallied against his attendance. A lengthy legal battle with the school system ensued, and media coverage of the case made Ryan White into a national celebrity and spokesman for AIDS research and public education. He appeared frequently in the media with celebrities such as Elton John, Michael Jackson, and Phil Donahue. Surprising his doctors, Ryan White lived 5 years longer than predicted and died in April 1990. 1 month prior to his high school graduation. Before White, AIDS was a disease widely associated with the gay male community because it was first diagnosed amongst gay men. That perception shifted as Ryan White and other prominent HIV-infected people, such as Magic Johnson, the Ray brothers, and Kimberly Bargalis, appeared in the media to advocate for more AIDS research and public education to address this epidemic. The U.S. Congress passed a major piece of AIDS legislation, the Ryan White Care Act, shortly after Ryan White's death. The act was reauthorized in 2006 and again on October 30th, 2009. Ryan White programs are the largest provider of services for people living with HIV/AIDS in the United States. Ryan White programs, now known or most commonly referred to as ADAP, helps people who cannot afford medication to get the medication they need to stay alive and to stay healthy. It helps, it provides access to care in connecting HIV/AIDS individuals with services in their communities. It helps with housing. But more importantly, it mainly deals with, medicine and allowing people who cannot afford their medication to have it so that they can live. But I'll defer you to the experts on ADAP later on in my article here. But I wrote a blog post or an article today, and I titled it, "Tell Washington to Protect the Legacy of Ryan White." Ryan White paved the way for so many of us living with HIV and AIDS, and today his legacy is being threatened. His legacy is now threatened by bureaucracy and government, by pharmaceutical companies, and by people who have become complacent to the cause. It is time that we reignite the movement in the fight for equal rights and equal access to care for everyone living with HIV/AIDS across the United States. We must do all we can to protect the legacy of Ryan White. There should be no reason, no excuse, to have over 6,000 people currently waiting for life-saving medications. To Robert Brenning's point on his radio show last night at pozim.com, that's pozim.com, he said, "We are being told to get tested, to know our status." But then, in the same breath, we're being told, "We can't help you." People testing positive in many states are being sent away with their names on a waiting list, hoping that they will be called. For those who do not find out until they are so sick that they need to be on meds, what do we do? Is it too late for them? Can you imagine being told you have to wait, all the while knowing your immune system is weakened, your viral load increasing? Wait. What if you can't? What if tomorrow or today is your last day? If a comprehensive review of the Ryan White Care Act, or ADAP as we've come to know it, is not conducted between high levels of government and pharmaceutical companies, along with health organizations, advocates, and others in the field, then I fear we will see a flashback to the 80s. People dying, but this time not because we have no drugs to treat the disease, but because we don't have the funding to do so. I think it's way overdue and time to take these drug companies to task, demand more from Washington, and get more people involved in the cause again. Quoting the words of Jean White Ginder, sorry if I messed that name up, or Ryan White's mother, the biggest contribution I think that Ryan made is, and I didn't know it at the time, that his legacy would be that people are getting their drugs and that their treatment, and that people are living with AIDS. Again, the quote. The biggest contribution I think that Ryan made is, and I didn't know it at the time, that his legacy would be that people are getting their drugs and that their treatment and that people are living with AIDS. I wonder what his mother's remarks would be today of this crisis. She mustn't be very happy. Let's not let Ryan White's legacy slip away. Let's call out these pharmaceutical companies and call them to Capitol Hill. Write your senators, community leaders, and the president. Let's march on Washington. We will not be forgotten, and Ryan White's legacy must live on. Visit votesmart.org. Again, that's votesmart.org. To find your local and state representatives and to keep up to tabs on this crisis, visit the ADAP Advocacy Association. That is the group that I had referred to earlier. I would defer you to them as the experts when it comes to ADAP. They have tons of information on their site, and they are keeping tabs and keeping track of this waiting list and the all the politicalness of this crisis. Until there is a cure, we must make sure that people have access to care, and that somebody who is living in Wisconsin versus somebody who's living in Florida or someone living in Chicago, we need to make sure that they all have access to the similar care until the cure arrives. I appreciate your interest in this topic, and let's keep the hope alive that we will soon live in a world free of HIV/AIDS, and that the ADAP acronym will soon be written into history. With that, thank you and good night, my friends. Take care. Be well.